Yeah, guys, the current crypto market is not fun for me at all. Yeah, I also expected it to be a bit different, that we would definitely be in a different position at this time than we are now. Yeah, I've lost a lot of money too, or rather, I'm also very much in the red with some cryptocurrencies. I think that's everyone who has invested in altcoins. But one thing that sets me apart from many others is that I stay committed to this and I won't give up here. Above all, if you just take a look at certain things, I mean, just look at the performance of the last weeks and months. That doesn't look great. However, one has to note that we had a correction of nearly 28% in altcoins. That's completely normal for a bull run. We've had such corrections every time in the past. How can altcoins perform well when we're experiencing such a massive correction in the Nasdaq of 8% within a few days? Of course, that has a huge impact. Also in the crypto market, but I'm pretty sure that people aren't that scared right now because of the altcoins. I don't think the worst part is the altcoins right now. I clearly think it's the altcoins. I mean, according to these on-chain data, we see the performance of altcoins here in gray and the altcoin performance in orange. And we're down here in the area where it says sell your house and put the money into altcoins. We've really reached such a low point in the altcoin sector. In the altcoin sector, nothing is happening right now. Nothing at all. We shouldn't kid ourselves. The altcoins have been stagnating for months and keep falling. And moving on. This is probably the toughest phase we have in the crypto market, especially regarding altcoins. Even the bear market was much nicer. And being invested in altcoins right now is just no fun at all. But honestly, it's just really annoying to have to look at Donald Trump all the time and wait until he posts something new, or writes something new, or publishes something new. There are much more important things going on here. What Donald Trump is doing right now is ultimately what matters for the altcoins. Because the altcoin sector really performs exactly with global liquidity every time. Before we even dropped in altcoin dominance, we had to see an increase in global liquidity. After that, we first had the job with the altcoin dominance. Right now, it's very, very nice because we see a big increase in global liquidity. The M2 money supply is currently rising massively. Extremely important for the altcoins. Because altcoins are still viewed as significantly riskier than Bitcoin, and altcoins can only perform with increasing liquidity. That's why this is the main factor we need to focus on right now, just like we see with the dollar index. He has now experienced such a big breakout for the fourth time. And we had that every time before we got massive liquidity into the markets. That's why it's even more important for the crypto market that we have fresh liquidity and a weak dollar. So those are the most important things. And in that regard, it currently looks like Donald Trump is going to ensure that we see further interest rate cuts. The way he's currently handling the US economy, it looks like it's all planned out. And it's as if he's forcing the Fed to want to lower interest rates piece by piece. And that would definitely benefit us as well. And you have to understand the big picture. Just take a look at what kind of open interest we currently have. Like at the peak of 2021 during the bull run, right now we have so much trading volume in the market that the market makers aren't going to let that go to waste. The market makers want to stretch the game out as long as possible with these stabilization phases, because they're making a ton of money here, given how much capital is now in the markets. I mean, just take a look at this week and see how much money has been made here. Within a week, only liquidated for $1.2 billion. That's really crazy. On both, there's also almost a billion again. And overall, that was within the last 7 days. $3.5 billion that have simply been liquidated here. What do you think the exchanges are making right now? They're raking it in, a golden opportunity there. And that's why they're trying to prolong this good mood for as long as possible, so they can extract as much capital as they can. Because in the end, the cycle is currently running very, very similarly to the cycle in 2017. And in 2017, we already had President Trump, and it really looks like it's going to be the same this time. Look at this correlation, how similar we are running with the cycle from 2017. We even had this larger correction almost at the same time back then. Here, just a little time shifted, and according to the schedule, we still have positive months ahead of us. We can see that here, for example. Here we can see it really exactly. How we have achieved the top spot on the clock pretty much every time, both in terms of time and data. Always 17 months after the halving. And according to time and data, this time in November 2025 we would reach the peak here, And that's how it looks at the moment, that we are building ourselves up bit by bit, because we can see at the moment with this correction, this is not a top correction, but rather it is simply a correction that will probably stretch over weeks, and then it will continue. We'll probably start building ourselves up again piece by piece. I mean, in the last cycle, we didn't have Bitcoin spot ETFs. We had an SEC that did everything against the crypto market. We didn't have a Bitcoin National Reserve. We didn't have Michael Saylor investing billions here. And we didn't have the most important president in the world on our side. And we're currently at $86,000. This is a joke, guys. Based purely on this data, we should be much higher. And I completely agree that we should actually be higher. But the biggest problem was initially this liquidity issue, that the dollar has been too strong lately. That was also because of Trump. He did that intentionally to get into a better position for the surge. And of course, we're currently in this position because, as I said, the market makers had to step in. There were so many people going long here, where we saw such a monster rally, everyone just opened long positions. Of course, the market makers would have to fight against that because they would first need to bring about corrections to flush certain zones out of the market. And once they've done that, we'll eventually see the turnaround again. It always goes like this, and that's why 30%. Corrections in altcoins are completely normal, even in a bull run. We've seen this every time in the past, but as I said, the loose monetary policy is finding its way right now. We're slowly seeing the expansion of money supply. We're seeing that interest rate cuts are becoming more likely, and we're slowly seeing a weaker dollar. That's very, very positive. That's why it's not so important what Trump keeps saying every time, but the macro data, the real world data is much more important. And even though we're currently in such a bad position with the altcoins, I have to honestly say I'm holding on to them because it's sometimes not even worth selling some altcoins. I think we're going to see a shift here again, but it will probably just come later, and that would be based on time and data. This year in November, or we'll see it in the near future. The altcoins could also be possible. I think there are only these two scenarios. Either we see it by May now, otherwise everything will shift to around November of this year. Because in 2017 we also had a good summer for that. But I think this summer will be more of a stagnation, maybe even corrective. But I mean, the summer isn't going to go crazy well, because sell in May and go away has pretty much always been right so far. In the summer, the stock and crypto markets don't perform particularly well. It could be that we stagnate again, or we might see a slight increase, but the markets won't completely escalate. That's why I say either this really has to happen in the next few weeks with an altcoin season, or everything gets pushed to the end of the year. October, November, I think it would be both possible. And I hope you don't give up either, because investing is not a sprint, it's a marathon. You just have to go through tough times. That's part of it. And every time in the past, we also had these tough phases. And at this point, I hope you enjoyed it so far. In exactly these market phases, I rely on you even more. So feel free to leave a like and a comment for the algorithm. And then I would say until next time, friends.